Now I know everybody on the internet is always talking about Cult of the New, the brand new games. So now we're going to take a look at games that are new to us, but they are not new maybe to you.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and today we're going to talk about top 10 new to us games. So these are
our
games,
gaming discoveries.
Yes, so these are going to be games that did not come out this year and did not come out last year. We just did our top 10 games of the year. You should check that out. And we always do a revised list from the year before.
Yeah, we always take a look back at in this case 2023, and we will re-rank that. That'll be coming soon.
Yeah.
So we're specifically talking about games that are from 2022 or beyond.
That are new to us that we played for the first time this year.
Yeah, because we obviously, given the jobs that we do, which is what you're seeing right now, we play a lot of new stuff. We play a lot of things from this year. We play a lot of things that are coming out next year because that's what we get hired to do. But we do get a chance, at conventions and in our kind of recreational gaming time to sometimes play stuff that we weren't in the hobby for when it first came out or, missed and have had a chance to look at. So we're going to talk about 10 of those games today. And then on Patreon, you can become a patron today if you want to support. Also, thumb this video up and subscribe if you like. On Patreon, we're going to talk about 5 more games each that I got to play, but maybe you didn't play, or vice versa. Because there's a number of games that I happen to play this over here, you were at a con doing it there, and it wasn't. These are all going to be games here today that we both played. So do check that on Patreon. And
you know what else might be new to you, or new to you? You might be new to us. You subscribe because you're new to us. We're new to you. That's what I'm trying to say. Subscribe to us, all right, you butts. There tends to be kind of a series of games because there's a couple of these. These are like the Boomerang games.
The Boomerang Games. This is a series of roll and write games.
It's like Boomerang USA, Boomerang Australia.
Europe, and they are these.
They all work more or less the same.
They're all these simple roll and writes where you are going to be drafting these cards, and when you take a card, there's basically several different elements on them. And you're going to be choosing one of those elements to be working on your little score sheet. So in kind of Boomerang Australia, which is like the most basic one, the first one, you can basically be filling out parts of your map. You're kind of collecting these, or I guess it's thematically you kind of touring around and seeing works of art and different stuff like that. And you're trying to, and each of them have different rules, and based on the versions of the game, they have different ways they have to work. But it's kind of this idea of I want to do all of these things on this card. I want to get all of these elements and fill out, my regions of Australia, but I also want to not pass up on this particular icon, because once per round you can choose one icon that you've collected and score those.
So
and once that's gone,
it's gone.
That's it for the game. So you're trying to
So there's a little bit of set collection. There's again a little bit of kind of, I would say, route building with the map and stuff like that. But you're basically trying to hit as many different regions as possible. All because
because each card is located in a specific area.
And so it's a bunch of little things like that. A little bit of set collection, just kind of go flip and right, kind of draft and right kind of thing. But they're good. We've played the Australia, we played the USA one. And they're fun little roll and writes, and they're kind of, again, they're not my favorite roll and write, but I do really enjoy them. It's just kind of a super light, chill roll and write, and they're good. And again, there's a couple different ones, so you can kind of choose which one you want.
Yeah, the Europe one's a little more complicated, and I say that meaning it's a little more complicated.
We're talking about still very, very light.
But nice quick roll and writes.
For some reason, I thought this one was a new game, and it wasn't until after we played it that I found out, this game is not new at all.
Yeah, this is Seas of Strife. Seas of Strife is a trick-taking game that I feel had this little resurgence where...
Yeah, really though.
There was a few, I remember some content creator people, and then our buddy Steve, who showed us this game, they were all getting and playing this game, but I think it's from 2015 or something.
Yeah, it's not even
new. Remotely new.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting trick-taking game where, I should say, it's got some weirdness to it in the way that it scores, because there's not actually a standard deck of suits, and they all have the same numbers. Every number is unique, and the suits are ranges of numbers. Will be, from 21 to 27 is this thing, and they're different aquatic stuff and
boats and stuff,
so the way it all works, where you're playing within a range and you want to play the highest or lowest within a range, and you can throw off by playing these higher cards. There's all these different ways that basically the trick will get determined, and it's hard to like.
Yeah, because the winner of the trick or what the suit is and stuff that can change like mid trick and stuff. I will say this is not a beginner trick taking game.
No.
This one's pretty advanced, but yeah, it's like when you're playing cards, like the suits and stuff can change, and like there's a lot of like getting in each other's way. It's pretty like in your face because again, like people think they're winning and then they're not. There's like all this stuff going on. And when we were playing it, we were playing at Dice Tower West with Steve and a bunch of other people and stuff, and I was just like, whoa, this is wild. Every single time I think I know what's happening, it's not happening the way I thought it was. I've actually been wanting to, I haven't seen it like in a store. I know they're around, but I want to pick it up because it is a really interesting trick-taking game where, there's like these ranges of numbers and things change. It's very, very odd, but it works really well. But again, it's one of those things where I was like, oh, this is this crazy new trick-taking game. And I'm like, oh, it's not like new at all.
No.
It's not old, but it's like, from earlier in the 2010s and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, okay, this has just been around and we just haven't seen it or played it. But I do want to pick up a copy because of the fact that it was really, really interesting and fun. But again, was kind of up there in terms of complexity.
Yeah, trying to like gauge what is going to win can be really kind of interesting. And so it's like one that we want to play again. It's obviously been a little while. But yeah, it was like, this is really fascinating, and I was very bad at it.
Number 8's going to be a shocking, we hadn't played about this. This is Coloretto. We also haven't played Zularetto.
Yeah, this is like
a classic card game.
I don't know how it hadn't happened yet. This year in general has been good for like going back and finding a lot of these smaller kind of games and playing.
Well, it's like when we're at cons where we a lot of times play, we were talking about, we were making this list, like this was not a great year for us in terms of playing
like recreational
older games because like we were moving this year, we did not have a lot of free time this year. So a lot of times we were playing games that were newer because we were either hired to or just because they're newer in our minds. So this was not a great year, but we did get a lot of these smaller games played, and Coloretto was one of them.
Yeah, Coloretto is a set collection game.
Set collection.
Pure and simple, where you can either draw a card and add it to these little lots of cards that'll have up to 3 in them, or you can choose to take one of the piles of cards. And when you take it, you're going to collect those cards, and now you're out of that round. The round will end once everyone has taken one of the piles. And the whole goal is to make sure that you collect a few of the colors.
Yeah.
Because if you have 3 colors, all of those will be positive points based on how many you collect of that color. The more, the better. The second you start having a 4th or a 5th or a 6th color, all of those additional colors are going to count against you. Yeah. So it's very much a spite kind of drafting game where I draw a card. Nick has kind of 3 colors he's clearly working on. And one of those cards is already in the middle of the table. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, you don't have purple yet, so I'm going to put purple here. Yes. So if you take that card and make your hand better, you also have to take some negatives. And you're really trying to get in each other's way in that way. It's so fun because it's so light and it's kind of a blam, but it's such a quick, light game that the take thatiness of it is really kind of really fun and silly and stuff. And it gives you, it's a simple game that gives you some decisions where you're like, okay, so if I do this, it's going to add 4 points over here. It's going to take 1 over here away. So maybe, I guess it's a net positive.
And
really have some decisions.
And really paying attention to what everyone else has. And it's all open information, so it's not like hard to do that. But yeah, just like really paying attention, trying to get in each other's way, trying to get what you need. That kind of like cutting and run where you're like, you want more cards if you can get it, generally, if they're going to be positive, but you're like, okay, no, screw it, I really need this card, I'm just going to take it.
Even though I'm only getting 1 card.
I'm going to take it early.
That's it.
It's really, really good. It's a classic game. I don't know when Coloretto came out, but it's not new.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really, really good, but we just somehow hadn't played it, but now we have, you butts. Pick this one up at a BGG Con.
I know.
Just randomly. This game is 5 cucumbers. Or 5 gherkin. So this is a game we were hanging out with like Jeff and Jamie, and we were just like looking for a game to play. And I was like, I'm just going to grab a game. And I was just looking through the small box card game, saw a Friedman Freeze card game, and went this one because we all like Friedman Freeze games, and his card games are great. And this one also is great. This is a trick-taking game where you are not trying to get pickles.
It's your only goal.
Only goal is not get pickles.
Not collect pickles or cucumbers.
Yeah, there is 1 suit in the game. It is pickles. All the cards are just pickle cards. And so, but they're suited, like 1 to like 13 or 15 or something like that. And it's interesting because the only trick that matters is the last trick of the round.
The very last card
Every single trick you're playing does matter ultimately, but like you're not going to score. And basically, whoever wins the last trick, whatever the lowest card in that trick that you win, you're going to have to take the amount of pickles on that card. And the lower cards have more pickles. So hopefully what you want is you want to throw off a lower card in that last trick and then not win it. Once you get 5 pickles, you're out of the game.
Yes.
And so, but the interesting thing is throughout the trick taking, when someone plays a card, what is it? You have to play an equal card or higher?
You have to be able to play an equal card or higher. So if Nick played a 7, I have to play, or I think it's just, or maybe it's equal or higher. You have to play basically higher than that. If you can't beat the number that Nick played, I have to play my lowest card.
That's what it is,
And so it becomes an issue where, you know, in a lot of trick-taking games, you want to win stuff, so it's not a problem, but you want to have some low cards for that last hand, ideally. So you are trying to make sure that you can beat what's played, or you have to ditch a low card, and you're kind of trying to be strategic in like what you save, you know, for that kind of mid and late part of the hand, so that you can make sure you have some sort of safe cards left over at the end.
Yeah,
it's a little bit tricky to...
Basically, by the last trick, a lot of times the lowest card they have is like a 6 or a 7 because you're constantly having to get rid of your low cards. So it's this really interesting, like, tactical trick-taking game where you're trying to play high cards to get everyone to have to throw off their low cards.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. And there's that last trick where it's like everyone's got a card, everyone's got to play the card they have, and you're hoping that you don't have to take it. It's really, really fun.
Yeah, it's a fun, like, simple one. It's interesting in the fact there's like one suit and everything, so it kind of changes the way you think about playing out that hand with some kind of trick-taking vibes.
Well, the trick-taking is super simple.
Plus, it's about, you know, pickles or cucumbers, I guess, but Fumgurken, we call it, and they're pickles. Next up, Nick. Small box card game.
Small box card game. It's
Reiner Knizia.
It's like a lot of this list.
Yeah, it's a few. This is Circus Flati, which just had a new edition come out, which is why
we
gave us opportunity to try it.
Yeah.
We played this back in the spring with an older version, then we got the new version from 25th Century Games. This is a Reiner Knizia set collection-ish set collection game. With some push your luck to it. And there are basically all these different suits of cards, which are different fleas in a flea circus. The theme is huge in this one.
Yes, huge.
And you will have a card potentially face up on the table, and you can choose to take that card or to draw another card and maybe have a different selection or whatever. And I think there's 10 suits of cards.
Yeah, I think it's 10.
And so if you ever draw out the same suit that's already present on the table, you bust, that new card goes away and you don't get to collect anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, do I take what I can see or what? And the kind of tricky part is at the end of the game, for each suit that you have, you only get to score the highest number.
Yeah.
So it does not benefit me if I have the 7, the brown suit 7, to have the 5.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, that's not going to count toward me.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
So I was like, that's lame. So I want to try draw for a higher card. Now, the one thing you can do to kind of combat that is if you have 3 cards of the same number.
Like a trio.
So it's 3 different suits, the 3 ones or whatever. You can put that trio down and it becomes 10 points.
Yeah.
Just flat 10 points, does not matter what the values are. So that's a way to kind of take cards that you already have the color of to try to get those sets. And it's a really fun, interesting thing with that. Like, it's a quick game, so you're gonna like take, there's a lot of turns where you're just sort of like, I busted immediately and you're out, but it's such a quick game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Don't really care, but I liked it a lot.
It's really good. I played it a couple times, and it's like, it's just really good because again, like you're just trying to make these sets. Well, you're kind of trying to not make sense. You're trying to have the highest number in each one.
Yeah.
But then if you get like a 0, you're like, well, I'm trying to make this trios because these are not worth anything anyway, and then you can make 10 points out of it. So yeah, that's all it is. But you're always kind of like, do I think I'm gonna bust? There's a bunch of different color cards out there. Screw it, I'm just gonna take this one. It's just a simple little Reiner Knizia game, but it's really, really good. There's like a bunch of editions of it because it kind of just keeps getting reprinted with different weird flea themes.
I really like the little cute cartoony flea art.
It's very
really
nice.
fun.
So like a little flea circus and stuff like that. It's like, but this game has stuck around for a long time for a reason because it's just very, very good. It's this classic kind of like Reiner Knizia card game. It has outstanding. And this is the first year we played it. We played the new version, but it is not a new game.
No. Next up is Brussels 1893.
Yeah, shouts out to Monique and Naveen.
Shouts out to Monique and Naveen. We did play the new edition.
Yes.
We didn't play with the expansion material, so we'll count this as the older game that it is. But the new edition that we played was from last year. But you get it.
It's still it's a remake of an older game. Yeah.
This is just a Euro-ass Euro.
It's a Euro-ass Euro, as we were once to say. Yeah.
This is a game where you are architects.
Yeah.
In I'm going to say Brussels.
Probably.
And you are, courting the influence of nobles and collecting art and selling art, and then ideally building buildings because you are architects after all. And it's just ultimately a worker placement game. So there's a couple of interesting little things with this game. One is that every round, even at a full player count, there's this kind of two halves of the board. One of them is this kind of grid of action spaces. And you're only going to be able to operate within a certain area of the grid spaces. So what's exactly on offer from round to round will not be the same. In those spaces, you can go out to again, do those things like build buildings, buy and sell art and stuff like that. But to go onto that half of the board, you have to put money down. Yeah. You have to put at least $1 down. You can put more. And so you're kind of managing your money because at the end of the round, you're going to look at each column. And if you basically committed the most money to that column of action spaces, you're going to get some benefits that are shown on the board. So you're kind of trying to manage that. You're trying to manage your resources because when you go to build your buildings, the resources required will change.
Yeah.
It might be like wood and iron, or it might be money and wood, or whatever it might be. And you have to kind of, manage the fact that that's shifting around throughout the game. And it's kind of tactical in the way that you build and box each other out, or build on an action space. When your buildings go out onto the board, now if someone takes that action with your building, you get a benefit from it. And a whole bunch of fun stuff like that. This is one that I really enjoyed. It does a bunch of cool stuff. It's probably one we won't play all the time because it probably is more fun at like 3 or 4 players.
I think it's like not. Is there even a 2-player version?
Yeah, you can play 2 players.
Okay, for some reason I thought you couldn't. Yeah, it's like this is why I'm glad we played with Monique and Naveen.
It was a fantastic gaming experience because we just love them so much. So
two of the greatest people.
Before you play, we're talking about the channel.
Yeah,
if you don't know, you should just watch it.
Yeah, it was cool. It's very like tactical. It's very, I wouldn't say necessarily in your face because it's not quite that mean, but you are getting in each other's way. You are trying to like block each other, maneuver around each other.
And I see how much money you put on this space, so I want the benefit from that column. So now I'm going to try to outbid you there.
So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of, if you like Euros with a lot of interaction, I would say this is for you. I'm actually not that into Euros with a lot of interaction, but this one was very good, and especially if you like that. This one's definitely right up your alley. You should check out. The new version also is very, very pretty.
Yeah, super pretty, and it gives you some good interaction. So you're really trying to pay attention to what everyone else is doing while you do just a bunch of old European people stuff.
Yep, that's all they all did. Shouts out to Foster the Meeple. It's like their favorite game.
Yeah, we love Foster the Meeple, and we love gaming with them. And they showed us Dice Town.
They're trying to evangelize everyone in this game.
Yee-hoo! This is a game where you're chucking dice.
You are chucking dice,
as the name would suggest, and you're trying to build like poker hands.
Kind of,
with the dice you roll, and those are going to give you access to certain actions in the town as you go and do a bunch of kind of Wild West.
Yeah, and you have like your little cup with your dice in. You're kind of like shaking them up, and then boom, and then it's kind of seeing what you have, and you can like keep stuff.
Yeah,
and you can kind of keep rolling stuff.
It's a kind of like trying to think of a comparable game, but like when you roll your dice, you have to take at least one new thing, or you have to kind of stay. And so you're trying to roll as many dice as you can.
Trying to have like the best poker hands and stuff like
build,
that.
Which I did horribly at. And then you're kind of going through these actions along the board where you can. I think you can like rob a stagecoach and get a bunch of money, money is very valuable, and I had none of it in the game.
Yeah. But you can like become the sheriff, and like that's been. It's like you go through the different towns. You like go to the saloon, you go to the bank, you go to this, you go to this, and you basically go through this. And basically, you're trying to get a bunch of money. But it's kind of like this push your luck, where you're like, do I take what I have, or do I just like try and go for this poker?
Better my situation.
It's kind of keep rolling and stuff like that. But it's really really fun, and it's just kind of like silly, and you're kind of mean to each other. Everyone's pushing their luck and making money. It's good.
Yeah, because you're kind of getting each other's way and getting to actions first, and if I want to rob a stagecoach and you rob it before me, I'm like, all right, well, there's no money in there, so that sucks, and try not to get arrested and things like that. But yeah, it's a really, just like I'm trying to think of like the words, like it's a really non-serious game.
Yeah.
And in a really nice way. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. It revels in its kind of theme. It's just meant for fun.
It's like, if you're not,
and it's fun to play.
If you're not being silly and just hooting and hollering, having a good time, play something else.
Yeah,
exactly. it's like don't be like, okay, I just kept this time. Yeah. It's like, play something else. Like, do something else. Like, if that's not your jam, this is one of those games where it's like, get into it, get silly, and have a good time. It's really, really fun. I think it's relatively hard to find. I don't know how easy this game is to find.
Yeah, I think it was in the BGG library, which is why we were able to play it. So, don't know about that. But I was like, yeah, it was fun, and I'd happily play it again. I think it's Bruno Catala, so shouts out to Bruno doing it once again. And if I'm lying about that, then you didn't hear that.
Number 3 is a game that I played at Dice Tower West with Crystal Dax.
And you found it at a store.
I found it, I can't remember where I found it, but I found it at a store here in, I think, SAC, and then bought it and then showed you, because I really like this game. This game is a number.
Yeah.
This is a game where it's really just about basically trying to get in each other's heads.
Yeah.
Where like every round...
Trying to guess what everyone's going to do.
Yeah. Every round, you're going to be making a 3-digit number, and the digits are 0 to 9, so there's 10 different options. And you make any 3-digit number. You can make 999. You can make 416. You can kind of do anything in there. And then once everyone writes down their 3-digit number, you're going to arrange all of those numbers from highest to lowest. So like 999 would be the highest, 000 would be the lowest, right? So you arrange them highest to lowest, and then basically, at the end of the round, basically, some people are going to get kicked out. Basically, at the end of the round, whatever your leftmost number was that you wrote in there, that's how you get to write down that number as points, basically. Yeah. So if you write 999, that's great because you get 9 points.
Yeah.
But the thing is if there's anyone below you who has a digit that you have in your number, you're out. But it's only the people below you. So if I write like 009 and then you write 999, I'm kicking you out. Now I don't get any points for that because I'm not getting. I have to write down 0.
Or if you do like 1, 2, 3, it's like you get 1 point, but you get a chance to spoil it for a lot of people.
And then also one of the things is like whenever you get to stay in the round, like your number gets to count. The numbers that you use, you have to cross off, and you can't use them again for this round. And it's like 2 rounds is the game. And so it's one of those things where you can get to the point where you're like, oh, no one can write 8 except for me. So I'm gonna write like 888, and it's just fun. It's just you're just kind of like trying to get in each other's heads. You could probably gamify it a little bit. Like I'm sure there's guaranteed like best strategies. I'm not gonna do that. I am just gonna write random numbers and try to screw people over because I'm not really trying to win this game. I'm just trying to have fun.
Yeah, especially fun at like a 4 or 5 player count where it's gonna be as chaotic as possible.
I'm guaranteeing some people are like, no, you should never do that because this would be the correct answer. I'm like, don't play the game that way.
Like, we played with Dave Lewis. Dave Lewis, not a diss to him, but I'm like, he just like figured out. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do this because then you're gonna blow your 9s. I'm gonna win. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're definitely smarter than us. Because we're just like, I don't know this crazy number.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to try and mess people over. Yeah. It's very, very fun. But yeah, you're just trying to get in each other's heads. And this is also one of those games where it's like, the higher the player got, the better. I think you can play it up to like 6.
5 or 6, I think.
And it's like, have more. Because you just kind of want more chaos in there. You kind of want. And then, at the end of the round, you basically count up your points. And then you play a second round. And it's just really, really fun. And it's just, again, trying to get in each other's heads, have some silly fun. Don't take it too seriously. And it's great.
Yep.
Shouts out to our good friend Charlie who got us this game.
Oh, Charlie, my man, you found it. This is Robo Trick.
Yes. I don't think this game is available here.
I don't think so, but it is. Another friend of ours ordered it and got it, so I just don't know if you'll see it in the store. This is Robo Trick. This is a trick-taking game. Where you are going to specifically have to play with 3 players. Because it's a 4-player game, but one of the players is a robot. And they have these cards that will give you the kind of the way they behave in terms of how they play their cards. And you're going to deal out 4 hands. The robot's hand will be face up and collected by suit and number. And then you're going to start trick taking. And when you go to play a trick, say I led or something, the robot will have certain ways they behave.
Yeah, they have like a program.
They have a program. So it might be that if they can follow suit, I played blue, they have blue cards. If they can follow suit, they will play the highest card they can of the followed suit. If they don't have that suit, they'll have another thing that they default to. And so they are playing these cards in this kind of, programmed behavior that will change from round to round. And you are trying to win, you're not winning just tricks, you are winning specific cards, because if I go and we all play a card and I win the trick, the only card I actually collect is the card the robot played.
Yeah.
And that will be worth points for me. The values sometimes line up with the value of the number, so 7 might be 7 points, but other ones are worth more. So you want to collect the robot's highest cards,
Generally
ideally.
high. You want high cards, yeah.
But only the first 3 cards you collect are positive points for you. Anything you gather otherwise are going to count against your score.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure that...
So if your first 3 tricks you win from the robot are 1, 1, 2, well, you're not getting that many points.
Yeah. And so there's this thing where, like, based on the way the robot's behaving, because they might be a thing where, oh, if I can follow suit, I'm playing my lowest card. So you are trying to take that information and you see all the cards they have, so you can determine like they're going to play this card specifically if I play this color. And you are trying to make it so that when you win tricks, they're the most valuable things possible, and you don't win tricks that are going to be, you know, either count negative against you or be like a 1 that isn't very valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's a really,
interesting. And also,
trick-taking game.
Then also, if the robot wins the trick, which can't happen, the card that you played comes back as negative points. It doesn't
Guaranteed
come out as
negatives.
positive points. So it's like, if you know, like Mike leads with green, and you know that the robot is going to win because they have the highest green. You're like, oh, I need to play the lowest card I possibly can because I'm going to have to take it back, but it's going to be negative points. So it's really, really interesting, and you can end up with negative points in this game, and very often do. It's really fun. It's a really, again, it's kind of like Caesar's Drive. It's a thinkier trick-taking game where you really kind of think. You also have a lot of information in this game.
Yeah.
Because you know your cards, you can see all the robots' cards. You kind of know where a lot of stuff is. But like, how do you work that trick-taking engine to your best benefit is really difficult, and it's really fun. That's it.
End of segment. Number 1, I think, out of the gaming discoveries of older games,
it's weird that we played this year. It feels like it was last year, but I guess it wasn't.
It's a long year,
it's been a long year, man.
This, for our collective money, I think, is the number 1 by a mile. This is Fast Sloths, as you can see Nick doing a perfect impersonation of. That's a sloth absolutely jamming.
Yeah, cruising.
This is the Freeman Freeze game, and this is a game where you are trying to collect leaves. You're a sloth. You're trying to eat lunch. That's it. But since you're a sloth and the map that you are navigating is quite large, I can't be bothered to go walking myself. I'm going to get carried by other animals. So there are other animals on the board in addition to your sloths, and you are going to be either collecting cards from these various decks that are representative of those animals, so giraffes and a unicorn, there's a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so you can either collect cards from different stacks, or you can, on a turn, play all the cards you want of one animal type, and those are going to basically give you action points that you can use for that animal. And the animals all have slightly different things to them. So the giraffe, for example, has a big long neck. So you can use action points to move them around, but I can actually be 2 spaces away. They can just use their neck to pick up my sloth and put them on their marker from 2 spaces away. And you can do the same thing by dropping them off. And that might make it so I can drop myself off across a river. And things like that. So you are trying to basically hop on animals and have those animals go around to the specific spaces on the board, the trees that have your leaves, so that you can eat all of your leaves first. You're trying to be the first one to basically fill your board with your leaves. And like that idea of the way that the animals behave mechanically in the game is so fun and funny to us that this game just like blew our minds. Like, this is so funny. This is like, so awesome.
It's a fun pick up and deliver me game, as it's called.
You're the deliverable.
But it's like, it's like there are like I think you're using 7 of the animals, and there's like 14 in the game, so you can have like a decent mix up of animals. I do wish there was even more. Honestly, I wish there was more expansions, because the expansion that they did have was just more boards. But so it's like it can kind of mess with it, but it's like it's like the elephants will like pick you up and like throw you and stuff, and all the animals can only be like in certain regions on the map. They can only be like in the plains or the mountains and stuff. So again, you're like working around, you're moving these animals, kind of getting each other's way, because like I'm ready to go with this thing, and then Mike moves that animal away, and I'm like, no, I needed that animal, so I have to like move them back. It's just silly. Like, it's just the theme is so ridiculous that I love it. It's just there's something about it that's so much fun. And then it's just a good pick up and deliver game, but it's just like, it goes to show that like make a good game, but like put a weird theme on it, because at least these two guys are gonna love it way more for that.
100%.
And it's just good. It's just Fast Lost is just a banger.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's like a game that is like deceptively thinky, because the puzzle of like how you actually get the animals around and placed based on their limitations of like what regions they can go into and stuff can be quite difficult. So you feel rewarded when you pull off a really clever move, but then you laugh at the fact that like one of the animal types is just a human. And there's these pathways on the board that lead to resorts, and all they can do is run from one resort to the other because they're like, this is terrifying. And I'm like, dude, that is so funny.
Just carrying a sloth.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, what is this thing going on? You know,
it's great.
It's just fantastic. So that is our list.
Yes.
It's always really fun to have recreational board game time and a chance to play, you know, this older game that might be someone's like favorite game of all time, and be like, okay, well, show me, you know, show me what you got, and to be able to enjoy looking back for as much as we have to stay really present. It's really fun to look back and stuff. So I encourage you to, you know, play some of those older games. If you have some games on the Shelf of Shame, which we absolutely do, try to play some of those games because they're probably pretty awesome, some of them. So,
and if these older games are still around, there's probably a reason, you know? So it's like, give them a shot, you know? The new games that come out nowadays are outstanding, but so are a lot of the older ones, so make sure to check them out. Yeah, let us know down in the comments what your favorite new-to-you game was.
What's the best discovery you found?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, we're going to talk about more games that just only one of us had a chance to try. So they didn't make this list for that reason, but they're ones that we both really would like to show the other. That'll be on Patreon. It's live right now. You can also see other supplemental top 10s, behind the scenes stuff, bonus content, our kind of our best of the week. So a little recap of what we've been playing recently, and all that and more over on Patreon. It's an awesome way to support the channel. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like this video. If you're new to us, we are the Brothers Murph. I'm Mike, that's Nick.
Hello.
Do subscribe, we'd appreciate that. And we'll see you all in the next top 10.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching that new top 10. What are some new to you games? We want a big shout out to our channel sponsors, Restoration Games, Board Game Geek, Garfield Games, and Artig Tables. And want to give a big shout out to the best person on the planet. That's Crystal Dax. She's not the best person because she's sponsoring us, but it definitely helps. She's just a magical human being, and she's just better than everyone else, honestly.